I moved from Germany to the US in my 20s, and that was a big change at the time. But lately, I actually had a much bigger change that was much more challenging than the one moving here from Germany, to be honest. I had been part of a community for over 20 years that I abruptly left. And all of a sudden, although I have been really used to living alone, I was never lonely. And now all of a sudden, there was a sense of loneliness. And so I want to share with you how I got through this and hopefully also have some tools here that could help you if you are going through something similar. My name is Susie Gazzi, and if you like the content here, please subscribe and like. So one of the first things I would like to share with you is that you may, if you all of a sudden drop out of a situation, you may feel like I don't have any friends. But that is never really true. You do still have friends, most likely. So how do you find those people again? I think it's in a way sort of like taking inventory, looking around you and seeing who are the people that are still here for you, that support you no matter how crazy you are, no matter what's going on for you, no matter what ideas you're throwing out. They are just there. You know, they're those people that will just really truly stand behind you, that will also support you if all of a sudden you maybe have a different role. So you might have had a friendship with them where you were always the strong one, but now you really need their help. Are they still there for you? Can you reconnect with them? Can you rekindle that friendship, even if it maybe was kind of silent for a while? And truly, those people that really just are there, they will be there no matter what happened in between. And so you will have that connection, even if you paused it for a while. It will be something that you can rekindle. So look around and find those people again. And whether they are first just maybe a phone call away, but maybe also in your neighborhood, then that is something that you can play with and really lean on. Now, in terms of making new friends, this is something that is, at a certain age, it seems like it becomes a little bit harder for us to make friends. But there are also ways that you can play with that. You could join a group. You could look at things like Meetup or other apps that are out there that can help you with finding some people that may have similar interests. And what are your interests? This might also be something that is not very clear to you. What are my interests? And if you don't know, or maybe you haven't really kindled that in a while because you were working so much or whatever is going on in your life, you might just want to try new things and let yourself be inspired by what other people are doing or what you're seeing out there. I, for example, all of a sudden I saw on an airplane, I saw a documentary about pickleball. And I had never heard about pickleball before that documentary, I swear. And it seems a bit weird because it's so popular and so many people are doing it. I had literally never heard of this sport. And when I watched the documentary, I didn't really think much about it. But then recently I saw like a meetup for pickleball beginners. And I thought, oh, I'm going to go. What is there to lose? And so I went and I had a really good time. And so I was like, oh, this is awesome. Let me do this again. So it's not that I'm running to do pickleball every day now, but it's become something where I move my body, I have a good time. I am also meeting new people, and it's a different kind of community for sure. The pickleball community is very different, but it's fun because you do not have to have a certain amount of athletic groundwork. You do not have to be a certain age. You do not have to look a certain way in order to play pickleball. So this is just something that anyone can choose and do. But what is it around you? What are some areas that you could explore what is it that you like? Do you like moving your body? And by the way, moving your body is one of the things that is really imperative to not feel lonely. Feeling lonely can really depress you and it can really take a toll on you. And so I highly recommend that you do something that involves your body, because when we move our bodies, our mood elevates. This is actually scientifically proven, and it is something that I highly, highly recommend. So, how could you move your body? And here too, don't necessarily look at all the different things that you have in the back of your head over the last 30 years about what you should do, but really more like what is enjoyable to you, because it could be anything from riding a bike to just taking a walk to doing yoga or, dancing or whatever it might be. But please don't limit yourself to just the things that you have been sort of carrying around as I should and should and should. Don't start with the gym unless you love the gym, then go to the gym. But whatever it is, make sure that you start moving your body. And it could be micro movements. There are some really well supported things that have been evidence that's been out there for a long time, that you can actually change something just by micro moving your body. What does that mean? The tiniest of movements. So it's something that you can do while laying in bed. So not always does it mean that you have to motivate yourself to get out there and to do stuff, because when you're not feeling great and when you're lonely and when you're sort of in that state, I get it. Motivating yourself to do something feels like the hardest thing to do. But what can help you in that moment? Maybe try and throw some cold water in your face. That helps actually your nervous system. So something that gets you going. What is it that gets you going? And pay attention, which things really are enjoyable for you, which things are really helping you to get out of bed, to, move around, to pick up a phone, to drive somewhere and maybe have a coffee with someone. Whatever it is that needs to happen for you to get motivated, it's not something that I can tell you, do this, and this will definitely help you. But this is where you have to really pay attention to yourself and to your own way of doing things. And then that can truly make a big difference. So for me, for example, it also helped me to do a certain routine. And it's not my whole day. I don't want to plan out my whole day. And it doesn't work like that. But my morning routine is pretty set. Get up, feed the dogs, go for a walk, feed the horses, muck the horses, do certain things that are basically like something where I will do this. And what I started doing is I started adding a few things to that routine that actually help me. So when I now get up, I go and I just turn on the cold faucet of my shower and I just run cold water up my arms. So it's not even that I have to jump in the shower, but that alone wakes me up and I'm like, okay, ready to go. So what could really be that for you? And sometimes when I really feel like it, I also do that with my face. I throw some cold water in my face. So what could work for you with that? And please pay attention. Like I said, what elevates your mood? Another thing that can be very helpful is to really talk about stuff. And whether that's with a therapist or a good friend or just in general, maybe even writing it out as well, like basically talking to yourself, to your journal, can be very, very helpful to just change the way that you might be stuck or the way that you are just feeling like there is no way out. There's always a way out. And I know even that may sound strange when you are stuck, but I truly believe that. And, what is that little grain of sand that will change something enough for you to choose it and to actually do something a little bit different, which then elevates your mood. So have a look at that, and for me, animals have always been a helpful thing. Like literally, sometimes I will, when I walk in town and I'll see someone with a dog, I sometimes just stop and start petting the dog. I've learned to now ask the owner first, but sometimes just that can really help me personally reset my nervous system. Just touching an animal. But it could also be hugging a tree or leaning against a tree or maybe sitting by a pond or sitting by water in general can be so nurturing. But also listening to the sound of birds. Sometimes just really being present with yourself in whatever you're doing in that moment can make a huge difference. So hopefully this is just giving you a little bit of motivation of what you can choose and how you can make things a little bit different. And this is, by the way, what I am offering also in my Superpowers monthly membership program, which has two different tiers. One is that you can join all 4 calls, and one is the mini subscription where you just get 1 call out of the month. And I see it as a weekly reset or a monthly reset in a way of just, hey, here are some ideas, some tools, some things, some suggestions that can help you in your personal situation. In those calls, you can ask questions. It's always interactive and it's always open to whatever is going on for you personally. And then that always helps the group as well. So if you are interested in that option, please find the link below for my Superpowers program. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and please take care of yourself.